Oh, sugar honey iced tea. It's the EAC Show.
Good day, ladies and gents. I'm Emilio A. Colon, and welcome to the EAC Show. Coming to you from sunny South Florida. I got Marcus Mack on the sound and Marcus Mack on the video tonight, doing double duties for us tonight.
Yeah, man, I'm here.
All right, and then right next to me, I got, UCF activist, overall sports enthusiast, the big one, Cameron Denny. Cameron, what's going on, man?
Not much, man. How we doing today?
So, Cam, let me get this straight, man. Why you got me doing these double duties this weekend, man? You having that much fun in Orlando?
I saw you working overtime. Yeah, man, you had to pick up my slack. I actually, I don't know what happened with my phone. I can receive and answer calls, and I can't do videos. I can't. No sound was coming when you were trying to call me, so I had a pretty wild weekend.
I got Wendy asking me. I remember my wife asking me, like, yo, she's like, how are you gonna do it in the house? Like, what? You gotta do it the right angle, and you gotta do it. I'm like, yo, let me just do the damn preview. Like,
right on the couch, I saw
like
you.
right on the couch. Like, so what?
No, but it was a good weekend. I'm got a little something under the weather here, but this is my Jordan flu game. I'll push through. I'll play flu.
We appreciate that. We appreciate you being here. Now, Marcus Mack, why don't you give us a list of the topics that we're going to talk about on today's show?
All right, so we have three big topics here. NBA, the NBA weekend update. That's not a huge topic, but we'll definitely be covering the NBA weekend update.
We got to talk about Mount Zion.
We have to.
We have to talk about Prince Zion.
The big hitter, the heavy hitter.
The heavy hitter.
Yeah. XFL. We're going to be discussing our XFL Week 4 recap.
That's a lot of stuff with that. A lot of stuff to go over with that.
One of the best weeks I've seen the XFL, maybe the best week.
Hands down.
We might have to bring that in last, but we still have our state of college basketball.
Yeah, man, and all the losses. How many losses this week?
I counted just quickly off the top of my head, at least 6 or 7 through Saturday and Sunday's games. 6 or 7 ranked teams losing to unranked teams.
And Duke lost again?
Once again. 6 losses before the conference championship tournament. It's pretty wild to see that just with Duke alone. But we talked about these last few weeks about the state of the college basketball and all these ranked teams losing. This year, that's the storyline of the NCAA.
Crazy. It's nutty. It's crazy. So let's get into the NBA talk.
Yeah, we're gonna start with NBA, the weekend updates.
Yeah, let's get into that. I mean, obviously Saturday's game, we saw Moran just annihilate the Lakers.
Yeah, Moran, he had a good game, 27 points, 14 assists. So he was doing a little bit of everything. He played good defense. And they actually came out with the win. The 88 points they held the Lakers to.
Did you see him almost dunking on Anthony Davis?
I didn't.
Oh my God.
We got to find that clip and put it on IG.
He tried to teabag like how LeBron teabagged Josh Hart.
Yeah.
He tried to teabag AD. Oh, it was crazy. I mean, he missed it. He just missed it, but it was crazy. It was nutty. And after the game was over, LeBron embraced him, shook hands, exchanged jerseys and stuff like that. And he came out with a win. And Josh just balling. I don't care what anybody says. The Rookie of the Year is his, hands down. Yeah,
he's solidifying it game after game, especially on the big stage against the Lakers. So it was nice to see that. And then we also had on Sunday, getting a little ahead of myself, but back-to-back games, the Lakers played both these rookie phenoms, Morant, and then they played Zion.
Prince Zion. I can't wait to be King Zion.
Yeah, and what's funny is that I'm not one to buy into the hype right away. I like to see players go throughout the process and see if they can earn that hype. I'm fully on board. I know that's a little dry to say. Everyone's on board on this kid, how great he is. But after watching that game where he dropped 35 points against the Lakers, I mean, everyone should be full in on this kid. He's going to be a guy that's going to be transcendental. He'll be a generational player. He'll be a guy that in 20 years from now.
He dropped 35 easily.
Yeah.
Like it was a yawn for him.
Yeah.
Like that's how good he was.
And it stinks he couldn't have gotten the win for his team. Again, that game came down pretty close. It was 122 to 114. Morant pulling out the win.
On Saturday?
Yeah, on Saturday.
Yeah, on Saturday's game, Morant just did everything. He just made everybody better. On Sunday, even without AD, because they played Sunday without Anthony Davis, the Lakers.
Really?
Yeah, LeBron just was LeBron James. He just took over in moments, pulling up from 35 feet, hitting threes. He just did everything under the sun. I mean, there was nothing. Memphis made a little bit of a run here and there. They were fighting. They were trying to stay in the game, but Just the Lakers and LeBron James. He was just too good.
Who do you have for the MVP right now, Giannis?
Oh, Giannis hands down. I don't know what's
Okay.
all this talk about. I mean, I get it. Mainstream media. Maybe Giannis is not as marketable as LeBron, or maybe Ja Morant isn't as marketable as Zion. But to me, the MVP is Giannis, and the Rookie of the Year is Ja Morant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Respect on that.
I think also, Ja Morant came out and made a statement that he really doesn't care. He doesn't even really care who's the Rookie of the Year. Give it to whoever you want.
That's the right answer, and he might care, but
Yeah,
you don't want to say that. Yeah.
No, but I'm okay with it because it's getting to a point where they're talking about it too much. It's almost like the media wants somebody else to be it, and
Right.
it's not about the media. It's about the play on the court.
Right.
The play on the court will dictate who needs to win these awards. And if you're asking me, based off the play on the court, Giannis needs to win MVP, and Ja Morant needs to win Rookie of the Year.
Right, and you know what? It's sort of one of those things where you're right. The media doesn't need to touch on it in the volume that they do. You can just let the games be played, and then after it's all said and done, before the playoffs start, look at the numbers. The numbers don't lie.
I mean, is Zion exciting? Is he ridiculous? Absolutely. I mean, the electricity, how the environment was. I mean, they had Pat McAfee doing introductions. He introduced Zion Williamson and the New Orleans Pelicans like if he was Ric Flair doing a WWE. Like, he went nuts, and it was great. It was great energy. It was great. All of it was good.
I mean, he's built like a wrestler, so you might as well introduce him like one.
I mean, seriously, but the game was good. Morant got the win on Saturday. Zion got the loss on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what's kind of funny? And this is kind of like a little dig at these Lakers, former Lakers, I want to sit there and say.
Mm-hmm.
So LeBron actually made sure that Ball, Josh Hart, and Ingram all got traded to New Orleans for AD. And then LeBron gets a W without AD in the game.
Right. Yeah,
So he literally just sunned all of them.
Yeah.
He sunned all of them. He said, I don't even need you. Like, I don't even need to beat you guys with Anthony Davis.
With the guy I got.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I don't even need to beat you guys with him. I could just literally sun all of you without him.
Yeah. So it was fun to watch that. And then as far as on Saturday, obviously we mentioned the game against between the Lakers and the Grizzlies. That was 105-88. But the other games that were really, not a lot really went on this weekend. Just a quick update. The Heat took down the Nets 116-113.
About time they win something,
I'm telling
dude.
you. It's been, I can't figure out this team, at least within the last 2 weeks here. We lose back-to-back games against the Cavaliers and the Timberwolves, who are the second and third worst team after the Warriors. And then right after that, we beat the Mavericks. So I can't figure it out with us.
Are you? Let me ask you a question because you're the Heat homer. But let me ask you a question. Do you think a little bit has to do with the Iguodala trade and maybe the chemistry being a little off? Like, do you think that has to do anything with it?
It might be like a way for them to build a camaraderie on the court. I know he has the mentality and the culture. I know he would be a good fit in that sense, but it's sort of just on the court. Moving these pieces around, that may be, contributing as to why we've taken a dip within the last 10 to 15 games here. But
I love how Cameron says we. He says we
Right.
like he has a jersey. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Cameron, like Denon. It says Denon number 7 on the back of the Heat jersey. Unofficial member of the Heat.
mine's up in the rafters. So
Oh, that's it. They black it out. You can't see it.
Yeah, they're gonna give me 4 games. One more for one more after D Wade.
We're taking a look right now, just to give you an update. We're watching Duke versus North Carolina State, and North Carolina State is up by 6 at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Duke is just having a bad year.
I know. I don't get it either. We saw them lost. I mean, we're sort of giving away free content here. We were going to talk about this later in the show, but Duke, we mentioned on Wednesday last week that the game against Virginia this past Saturday was their
Yeah.
It was the last opportunity for a Q1 win. So we'll save that content for just in a little while here, but they got to figure this out before the tournament starts, the ACC tournament. As far as everything else on Saturday with the NBA, the Rockets, beat the Celtics by 1 point, 111-110.
That was a good game. I actually saw a lot of that game. That was a really good game. It came down to like the last second, and who was it? Jaylen Brown had a ball came back to him. He hit a 3 to send it into overtime, and then they went into overtime, and then it was back and forth in overtime, and missed free throw, and then all of a sudden the Rockets were able to secure a rebound, and that's how they ended up winning by 1.
Yeah, and in true James Harden fashion, the game ended with 2 James Harden free throws to put the Rockets over. I mean, you hit threes, or you shooting two at the line?
Westbrook went off in that game. He had a really good game.
He had 41 points. He had 8 rebounds and 5 assists.
Animal.
Yeah.
I don't care whether you like him or not. He's an animal.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of him off the court, but I do think that he's a freak of nature on
ridiculous.
the court.
Hey, listen to me. If I'm playing at LA Fitness or anywhere at the park, I'm picking Russell Westbrook.
He's your guy. Yeah.
He's my guy because I know he's going to give me 100% every play.
Yeah, he's the street baller you want. And then on Sunday we had, of course, the Milwaukee Bucks winning. They're now 52-8, which is absurd.
They're a machine. I'm going to start calling them Terminator. They're like Terminator. They're Arnold Schwarzenegger.
They really are. I mean, they continue to. I mean, every show after show we're looking. They haven't lost a game since like.
They're really, and ever since
2-3 weeks ago.
Ever since Harden has came out and said what he said about Giannis, a little back and forth that they're having, Giannis is destroying the statistics.
He's even more lights in, like dialed in, right?
The Adderall is up. Yeah. The Adderall, the dosage.
The dose, yeah.
They called the doctor. They got the script. They told him, hey. Up the dosage.
They went from 15 milligrams extended release to 35. They're now dialed even more in.
They're on that Adderall that all these college kids take when it's time for finals. Yep. Like, that's what they're on. They're on those. Come on, let's go.
I know from experience. Dark times. But then as far as everything else on Sunday, the Clippers beat the 76ers 136-130, a high-scoring game there. The Clippers back on track.
Shout out to that one kid from the G League. What's his name? Milton?
Yeah, Shake Milton.
Yeah, he dropped 39. Shout out to him, man.
Drops 39 points. I mean, was that his debut?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, ball out, kid. That's pretty wild.
I think so. Shout out to him. He had a really good game.
And did they do that without Kawhi Leonard? They did.
Yeah.
No Kawhi Leonard in that game.
No.
So shout out to them. Excuse me, I'm wrong. Kawhi Leonard did play the game. He dropped 30. I was looking at Philadelphia's. What I meant to say is
they did that without Embiid and without Simmons.
No Embiid or Simmons. Yeah. So the fact they even came in within 6 points in Los Angeles without their two top guys, that's honorable.
Yeah, I mean, you got those 39 points from somebody you weren't expecting it from.
Exactly. The Nuggets beat the Raptors 133-118. I like the Nuggets a lot. They're the 2 seed in the West that no one's talking about either.
They got Mr. Jokic,
yep. They also had, who else balled in that game? We had...
Jokic, I said, Jokic is literally the YMCA player.
He is, yeah. He's your dad.
Yeah, he's your uncle that does the little sloppy moves, and they just work.
I mean, to be honest with you, the Denver's that perfect, solid team. Everyone sort of gets a piece. Jokic scored 23 points, but other than that, they had 6 or 7 other guys that scored at least 11. So they spread the ball. They know how to play good team ball. After that, and then we noted the Lakers-Pelicans game. That was 122-114. And that was pretty much it for the slate. Nothing really else to speak on.
I mean, I'm just really looking forward to the NBA and the playoffs that are about to come, because in the playoffs the intensity level just rises by so much. It just goes so much more higher, and then just to see, guys really, really playing every possession like it matters. Guys getting extended minutes. The rotations might not be the same from the regular season to the playoffs. So it's gonna be a really, really fun NBA playoff season. And let me get into this promo real quick, because this part of the show is brought to you by ElCubanoSandwichShop.com. Use the promo code EAC and receive discounts on online pickups or delivery orders. Enjoy a café con leche or natural pre-workout shot of Cuban coffee to start your day. Daily lunch specials and their steak sandwich is next level. Once again, use the promo code EAC. That's ElCubanoSandwichShop.com or 954-906-5110. Remember, use the promo code EAC.
All right, fellas. All right, so after the NBA, we're going to talk about XFL. We're going to talk about XFL Week 4 recap.
Extra Fun League.
Fun League. We're going to talk about the Week 4 recap and Week 5 dates and times.
So just for the record, I won this week again.
Yeah, the crown's back on the head. I don't know if you're watching or listening in, but for this segment alone, Emilio killed me again. I went 1-3. He goes 3-1. So yeah, you're 7-1.
This is opulence level right here.
It is, yeah. You got royalty right now. You're 7-1 in the last 2 weeks, I believe.
The only thing I'm missing is like the little tiny baby giraffe in the DirecTV commercial. Remember? That's the only thing I'm missing in this whole equation.
Someone feeding you grapes, something like that.
Pretty much.
Keep it rolling, sir. But for the scores this past week of Week 4, again, I thought it was the best week, to be honest.
Yes.
Mainly highlighting that Texas game, but we had the Wildcats 14, losing to the New York Guardians by 3 points, 17-14. Then we had the Battlehawks against the Dragons, 23-16. Battlehawks prevailing. We had on Sunday the Battle for Texas, the Roughnecks versus the Renegades. That game was closer than a lot of people thought, 27-20, as the Roughnecks prevailed there. And then really not even a surprise, but for us, because we knew about this, we called it, but not in this fashion. 25-0, the last game, closing out the slate. Vipers over the Defenders.
We're gonna leave that one for last, but let's start with the LA and the New York Guardians game.
That's the game you had, right, Emilio?
Right, I had that game. Well, I had all the games.
You had all.
I had all the games.
I was watching, but
so I mean, Josh Johnson played well. Trey McBride had an amazing game. He had a touchdown. He had
8 catches,
100 yards.
Yeah, 8 catches, 127 yards, a touchdown.
Josh Johnson and McBride came to play. It just seemed like I don't know. I mean, even with the third string quarterback for the Guardians, Perez was in the game. He managed the game very well. He didn't commit any turnovers. He only had, I think, like 150 yards, threw for 1 touchdown. He just didn't turn the ball over and give LA more chances, and they ended up winning. Their defense held it down. LA really didn't do much until later in the game. Squandered a lot of chances in the beginning of the game, and New York got the W, which no one saw.
Yeah, no one saw that. That was the surprise of the week. And to be honest, when you look at the box score, like you said, it was a strange game.
Yeah, no one stood out for New York.
Right, no one stood out. Like you said, Perez had only 150 yards, touchdown. You mentioned it perfectly, how he was just a manager, just took care of the ball, threw to the open guys, didn't do anything out of the game plan, I think. But then you look on the other side of it. I mean, New York, before we jump to the other side, they only had 120 yards rushing.
Yeah.
So they had not even 300 yards of total offense. They had 1 touchdown and a few field goals, but the
LA Wildcats just didn't capitalize on their chances.
Yeah.
They really didn't. They didn't capitalize on their chances. They moved the ball down the field and didn't get anything out of it. Punt, turnover.
I think the reason why they didn't pull it out was because of the lack of run game. They had 325 yards through the air via Josh Johnson's arm and 2 touchdowns, but no Martez Carter in this game.
Yeah, Martez Carter didn't play, and no Spruce didn't play neither. So, while that changes the dynamic a little bit, I think the LA Wildcats still should have won the game. I mean, hats off to the New York Guardians. They showed up, they came to play, and they got the W.
Yeah, so good for them. We'll see what happens next week when they play. We'll go over the Week 5 matchups.
You know who they play.
They play the Dallas Renegades. Or no, that's New York. They play the Tampa Bay Vipers.
Wow. We're gonna get into that's the last one. That's the last one on the slate.
That's a juicy game. So the second game we had was a game I was supposed to cover. I was watching it, that's for sure. But the Seattle Dragons at the St. Louis Battlehawks. That ended in a 23 games with the Battlehawks.
Hat tip to Coach Zorn for actually pulling the quarterback streets and bringing in Daniels, because Daniels, as soon as he came in, changed the whole dynamic of the game.
BJ, right?
Yeah, BJ Daniels. The Seattle Dragons actually had a chance in that game multiple times. Once Daniels came in the game, he was amazing on his feet. He was amazing throwing the ball, except the pick that he threw was a bad pass. But he changed the game. Seattle actually had a chance to be in that game. And that's why, in my opinion, St. Louis didn't cover.
Yeah, you're right, because they did have a good fourth quarter, Seattle, which really pushed the line there and ultimately was the reason why Battlehawks didn't cover. But on the other side of it, Jordan Tiamu.
Baller.
Again, his completion percentage is through the roof. 74% completion rating, 264 yards through the air, one touchdown.
And he contributed over 300 total offensive yards for his team.
Right, with 63 on the ground. That's what put him over.
I mean, what more can you ask for?
No, and he doesn't. It's weird because he balls out, but he only has 5 touchdowns through the air compared to P.J. Walker's 12 through the air. But he doesn't turn the ball over. He hits his open receivers, and he doesn't have a lot of incomplete passes.
Shout out to the broadcast, both on ESPN and both on Fox, because they are literally describing the breakdowns. My wife was watching the game with me, and my wife is like, what does Monday, what does, all this mean?
Yeah.
And they put it across the board to break down what means what. X is this receiver, Y is this receiver, the H is the H-back that goes in motion or whatever. They broke it down to be able to make people that don't know the sport understand the cadences and the things that they're talking about. So shout out to them on that, because, I mean, there's sometimes where people are checking into certain things or changing the snap counts or whatever it may be, and that's the stuff that they're talking about behind the line of scrimmage.
Right. And another thing they put on the board, obviously we know that they have throughout the entire game the line, the over-under, but I do like that they have some prop bets that they'll put up there.
Oh, yeah, I did see that. I did see that.
Which quarterback was it? It was Taylor Cornelius for the Tampa Bay Vipers.
Over 126 yards or something like that?
I think it was like 170 yards.
With the hook.
Right, 70.5.
With the hook.
So as soon as he passed it, like 171 yards through the air, they put up, on the bottom there. So I appreciate that for all the degenerates that's picking the prop bets.
Shout out to Coach Hayes of the St. Louis Battlehawks, who had on the big Oakley goggles after the game because he wanted to make sure his eyes weren't burning from all the Bud Light seltzer that was being poured on after the game. I like the fact that these guys go live also on IG. They go on Instagram, and they as soon as they win, they're posting it real quick, and they're just going nuts. And it's cool. It's really cool. You see the guy he had the hat with the two Bud Light seltzers in both sides of it, sipping into it.
Hat.
Yeah, have a ball, man. Enjoy yourself. You just made an extra $100,000 playing a game that you love. And it was really good football this weekend, definitely on the Saturday games for sure.
Yeah, and I like, just like you said with the Bud Light seltzers, it's almost like if you're a baseball fan and this team wins the pennant or like the divisional round and it's a champagne shower. They do that every week, but with Bud Light seltzers.
Every week, it's a party for them every week because it's extra. When you get those W's, it's extra money in your pocket. I mean, I'm going to get into this a little bit later on, but the Houston Roughnecks have made $400,000 extra because they're 4-0.
And they split it throughout the team, right?
Yeah, split out the team, but it's still extra money.
Do we know how many players are on each team? It's not a 53-man roster.
No,
like
I think
the NFL,
it is.
Is
I think
it exactly 53?
it is, but they dial it back to 48 on game day, so a certain amount. I think it's like 7 or 5. Sorry, 5 don't dress.
Okay, so if they're only paying those 48 players, that's another $2,100.
$2,200 a piece, yeah.
So, I mean, good on them. That means this past month, the Houston Renegades have made, all the players have made over 8.
Houston Roughnecks.
Yes, thank you. Houston Roughnecks have made all over $8,000 just in winning games. So good on them, man.
Absolutely. So let's get to the Sunday slate.
Sunday slate, the first game, the battle for Texas, the Houston Roughnecks versus the Dallas Renegades, 27-20. That game was all over the place. That was one of the best football games in general that I've seen.
Listen, I had a buddy of mine who texted me during the game and said, "This is what you're talking about?" And I said, "Yes, this is exactly what I've been talking about on my show." Because, not for nothing, Landry Jones had a horrible first quarter for the Dallas Renegades. Mm-hmm. He threw 3 picks. One of them wasn't his fault. It went through the receiver's hands, but the other 2 were 100% his fault. And the defense for the Dallas Renegades did a good job of holding the Houston Roughnecks only to 1 score and 1 3-point conversion on 1 possession, so that's 9. Mm-hmm. And then the other 2 possessions were only field goals. So the score is 15-0.
Right.
That's
essentially,
it. Yeah, essentially, in a sense, But they ended up coming back into the game. They ended up getting back into the game. But Mr. XFL, Mr. MVP, Mr. All-World, PJ Walker, he's just too good.
I know. He undoubtedly has NFL talent. It's just so fun to watch. And that game was kind of wild because you mentioned Houston's defense. They had like 4 or 5 turnovers, and Dallas was still in the game. I don't know if a lot of people watched it that are listening or watching it on the show, but with a minute and a half left, Dallas was on the 2-yard line about to score, and they had a fumble.
Yeah,
that's essentially ended the game. So we almost saw.
No, it was a pick.
Did they go down as a pick?
It was a pick. Okay, it was a pick. It was an interception.
That was pretty wild to see how close it came down to the wire at the end there. You saw PJ Walker jumping on the sidelines once they picked the ball off. But
what Dallas did a good job of shutting down Cam Phillips. But what PJ Walker did is PJ Walker realized the coverage that they were playing to Cam and decided to go in another direction, which led to one of their other wide receivers having a really, really big game. Mm-hmm. So I don't necessarily mind that because you're taking what the defense is giving you, and it was a really good game. Shout out to the Houston Roughnecks. They're hands down the best team in the XFL.
Yeah,
and it was a really good game.
That was one of those games where what the XFL envisioned when they first created this league or brought it back to life.
Absolutely,
the aerial attack, both of these teams.
Absolutely.
No running back in that game had 50 yards.
No. But I mean, it's not. Sometimes that type of football doesn't call for it.
Yeah.
But in our next game, the run offense was astounding. Like, it was crazy what the Vipers did. They ran completely and utterly all over the DC defenders.
Yep, Devion Smith and Jacquees Patrick, the two running backs for Tampa that we mentioned last week, both over 100 yards. They consistently are getting over 100 yards each. And Taylor Cornelius had a touchdown on the ground again this week.
They had didn't they have almost 300 yards of total rushing between Cornelius and the two running backs?
Yeah. Very close to 300 yards, yeah.
That's nuts.
I know, and they don't. You're right, and so they're allowing Taylor Cornelius or whatever quarterback they have in at the time. I feel like it changes every week for them, but they're allowing him to game manage with his arm and just win the game with the legs.
I know you remember this movie. Remember the movie? Remember the Titans?
Of course, I can recite you that movie.
You remember when Denzel Washington, he asked the offensive coordinator who used to be the head coach, asked him, "Okay, what's your playbook?" And he said, "Yeah,
13 plays.
13 plays. I run them like this." It was the same thing over and over. Just hand it over to the running back. Hand it over to the running back. And they were just running rampant all over them.
Yep. They're not running any. In that movie, he's like, "Why don't you throw in a trick play, get these boys excited?" He's like, "No." He's like,
"No, I'm not doing that."
Consistent. You do what works. And this offensive coordinator is doing what works. This offensive coordinator's name is Jamie Elizondo. And he's been the offensive coordinator only for weeks 3 and 4.
It's a big difference.
Weeks 1 and 2, we talked about, they didn't score one offensive touchdown. They scored 12 points in those first 2 games, 52 points in these last 2 games.
Hey, shout out to Jerry Glanville, too. He literally said it before the telecast that on 50 plays in a game, I'm going to blitz 49 times. It reminded me of Remember the Titans Against. We blitz all night. Right, yeah. That's exactly what Jerry Glanville was doing. He was blitzing against the DC defenders all night. And once again, Cardell Jones looked awful.
41% completion rating, 72 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception.
He got benched again. Not only did he get benched again, he was on the sidelines complaining about other players that weren't ready to play.
Man, that's bad look.
Dude,
bad look.
You look like you're not ready to play.
I know. What did I say last week? The DC Pretenders. Are you ready to call them that now?
I'm not calling them that yet. Because
you're still going to give them a break?
You want to know why I'm not calling them that? Because they haven't lost a game at home yet.
You're too kind, Emilio.
If they lose a game at home, then I will jump on the bandwagon and I'll call them pretenders. But when you haven't lost a game at home yet, I'm not going to call you that. They're just not good on the road.
But I feel like if you can't win a game on the road, that's worthy of being a pretender.
That comes in time. That you could develop that. You get better and better. You feel like who can. At home, you play with more confidence. On the road, you know your ballers are supposed to step up. When your ballers aren't stepping up, then it becomes even harder because the players that don't do as much, they're not going to show. So that's the issue and the problem. But shout out to the Tampa Bay Vipers. They played a great game. The running attack was amazing. The defense was flying all over the place, and it was just enjoyable football to watch.
Yeah, and again, shout out to Taylor Cornelius. We saw Quentin Flowers not play due to personal reasons. I believe it's because they notched him down to third string because Erin Murray is finally healthy. What I don't like is the fact that Erin Murray used to be an ESPN employee as a reporter, as an analyst, and now he's on this team. So at halftime, which, by the way, I love.
But no, he does I think it's CBS.
Which.
Yeah,
was it CBS?
Yeah, CBS?
Okay, so whichever it is, I know he was on a few different platforms before this season started, and one of the things I like about the XFL is before and at halftime, they bring a reporter into the locker room.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a kind of a cool element to see, like the vibe of the locker room, whether they're up or down. You saw Mark Trestman 16-0, the coach of the Vipers, with his hat backwards because he was feeling himself. It was a good winning. But I didn't like how they were interviewing Erin Murray about like potentially getting into the game. They didn't even talk to Cornelius. Maybe they wanted to stay away from the guy that was
I'm gonna explain this to you, and you haven't done one yet. Now come. So you haven't done an episode, and Marcus knows this. You haven't done an episode by yourself.
Okay.
So when it comes to doing an episode by yourself, or when there's a blowout in a football game, you have a lot of dead time.
Sure.
So during that dead time, you have to figure out what to come up with and what to make up. So in that blowout game with DC not being able to do nothing, they have to go somewhere because they can't go to the other sideline because the other sidelines, nothing is going right for them.
Right.
So they go to Erin Murray, who's the backup, and he's just analyzing what we're doing right now. We're basically in a 4-minute offense where we're just trying to drain this clock, running the ball all night long. That's all he's telling them. So it's just basically, they're just trying to fill in the downtime. That's all they were doing. That's what
I hear you. Erin Murray with the clean jersey. and Taylor Cornelius keep balling, 77% completion rating, but I just like to see. I have an animosity against Erin Murray.
Yeah, you really don't like him.
Unknown.
Hey, but listen, once again, let me apologize for anybody that saw the rant on IG Live. That wasn't supposed to happen, but it did happen. So anybody that saw the rant on IG Live, I apologize.
Can you explain that for the folks at home?
We were recording and we thought we would cut. We thought it was over. I was upset because I wanted to get a little bit more on the show. And
right.
Like I said, it's difficult when you do the show by yourself and you're monologuing than when you have somebody to help you fill in the time. So I talked to my sound guy, Marcus Mack. I asked Marcus Mack what my time was, and he said, "Yeah, we got a good 36 minutes." And my aim was to get at least 40 and above. Mm-hmm. So that's when the F-bombs and the sugar honey iced tea started to come out. But I didn't know I was on live because our cameraman Omar was on IG Live, but no clue to me. I had no idea.
We shoot for perfection.
Yeah,
for y'all.
We try to get better. Hey, keep liking, subscribing, commenting. The interactions on social media, we appreciate it.
Share it with
of course, without question, without a doubt.
Yeah, and then week 5 for the XFL.
Week 5. Am I gonna be wearing this week 5 again? Because
I need that on my head, so I
don't even know if it fits.
I got a big noggin, but my picks for week 5. I'm gonna dial in. I've been overthinking myself. I've been trying to go against the grain, against the public, but this is such an unknown league that sometimes you got to roll with the public.
And we're gonna touch that on Wednesday. We're gonna go over. Let's just go over the times and what channels they can find the games and who's playing who. But we're gonna go more into detail on our Wednesday show about the XFL.
Correct. For week 5, we have Seattle on Saturday. We have Seattle at Houston. That's 2 p.m. That's on ABC. We have New York at Dallas. That's 5 p.m. the late game on Fox. We have on Sunday St. Louis Battlehawks at DC Pretenders at 3 p.m. on FS1. And then a real late game, because this is the night game, but it's in L.A. So for us on the East Coast, that'll be at 9 p.m. on ESPN. That's between the Tampa Bay Vipers and the L.A. Wildcats.
Do you think that, of course, they have to go with Daniels and Seattle Dragons, right?
Especially after that second half, yeah. I really do like the Dragons. So I'd like to see, and we saw B.J. Daniels in Houston, right? Houston Texans for a while.
Yeah, he was there for a little bit.
But I think they have to go that route. At least for what we saw in the second half.
They had a cup of coffee. I mean, the XFL has just been exciting. I don't know how people are just they hate on it so much and they knock it, and I'm not interested in this. Because first off, I know a bunch of you guys are just sitting on the couch. Yeah. You're literally just sitting on the couch Sunday. Saturday I can understand maybe people are going out, but Sunday you're just sitting on the couch. And what are you gonna do? There's no baseball yet, so you can't watch that. What are you gonna watch? What else are you going to watch?
Right, golf. I mean, you can watch golf. It's great, but...
Tune in, really tune in, try to enjoy it, and go from there. Right. I saw a pass, and I texted you about it, that P.J. Walker made.
Touch pass?
Yeah, remember when the defender for the Dallas Renegades put his hand up, and...
Yep.
It was a beautiful dime that he threw.
Back of the end zone,
Good. That's good football.
Yeah, that was the go-ahead score, too. I mean, it's not just... certain players balling out. It's really good team ball. So, like Emilio said, tune in before you make the opinion. And even if you're going out on Saturday, these bars are holding these games on TV.
Oh, without question. Now, this part of the show is brought to you by ElCubanoSandwichShop.com. Use the promo code EAC and receive discounts on online pickups or delivery orders. Enjoy a café con leche or a natural pre-workout shot of that Cuban coffee to start your day. The daily lunch specials and their steak sandwich is next level. Once again, use the promo code EAC. That's ElCubanoSandwichShop.com or 954-906-5110. Remember, use the promo code EAC.
All right, fellas. All right. Next, we're getting into, should I say it? Duke loses again.
Oh, God. The state of college basketball right now.
State of college basketball.
How many teams lost this weekend, Cameron?
So about 6 or 7 ranked teams go down to unranked opponents.
Jesus.
And we'll go through them right now. It was sort of alarming. We had the Seminoles, who were 6th in the country, go down to unranked Clemson. Clemson took out them and Duke. So they're like 16 and 13 or 16 and 14, but they got a good couple wins under their belt.
It's tough.
It is tough, especially this year. But you had Texas. Unranked Texas beating Texas Tech on the road. You had Providence beating 12th ranked Villanova on the road.
Jesus.
You had the big shocker, Baylor, going down to TCU, unranked TCU. What else you had? You had Oklahoma beating West Virginia. West Virginia was ranked 20th prior. You had Virginia, unranked Virginia, even though they're 20-7. I don't know how they're 20-7 and not ranked. They'll surely be ranked come Monday.
Strength of schedule, probably.
Yeah, no, not enough quality wins. I mean, they'll be ranked Monday for sure after this win. But now that you have that loss from Duke this past one against Virginia, they're ranked 12th right now. We have it on the TV as we're talking. NC State, 44-44 in Cameron Indoor.
This is crazy. I mean, before the game had started, they were talking about how Mike Krzyzewski had a talk with a lot of the players and just getting down to the small details and making sure that you do a lot of things between, ball screens, passing the ball, cutting correctly, this, that, and third. This is just, I'm not used to seeing Duke like this. Not like this.
None of us are. And I'm telling you, it's because of the lack of the continuity of players. It's because of the lack of chemistry. I mean, they have talent, but they're not unorganized talent. They're just not melded talent. It's not they've only played X amount of games together.
Yeah, I agree with you totally. It's just looking really bad. And I mean, it's okay with losing the games right now because you want to get in the tournament, and at least in the tournament, but you want to be playing well going into the tournament.
Right, correct.
They're not playing well at all.
You want to catch heat going into it and go in with some confidence. So it'll be very interesting to see what they do in the ACC tournament. I think it would be, honestly, if they can win that tournament, they'll get themselves maybe back up to a 3 seed. But other than that, I don't know. They might be going in 4 or 5.
I still don't see a change in the top 4, though. The top 4 is going to be Baylor, in my opinion, Kansas, Dayton, and Gonzaga.
Gonzaga, yeah. Maybe if Dayton falls off, San Diego State will reclaim. They had a 1 seed at first, so they're at a 2 right now. Maybe they'll jump back
I don't know
up,
how you feel about this, because I'm a little bit older than you, Cam, but I don't know how you feel about this. But any team that is west of Texas that like starts to really, really ball, I just think they're all cheating. Like, I remember when
all the Pac-12 teams?
Yeah, I remember when UNLV was doing it, and I remember when, Fresno State was doing it, and I just, for some reason, I don't know, that's wrong to say, because...
the allegations
the allegations for me are just wrong, but it's this stigmatism that Jerry Tarkanian has put in my mind from when, he was at UNLV, and then he actually went to Fresno State, and Fresno State got caught cheating afterwards as well, so it's like... I don't know. I want to see good basketball. I'm waiting for March Madness to come. I think it's going to be really, really good. It's going to be exciting. Like I said, a lot of people aren't going to work.
No, not at all.
I'm going to be working because I'm going to be doing double duties.
But you got a TV here with you, so...
Yeah, it's enjoyable, It's enjoyable to watch. It's good stuff to watch.
And what I'm looking for mainly, just going off of what you said with the West Coast teams, can Gonzaga finally take that step forward? Because it seems like over the past... 15 years at this point, it's death, taxes, and Gonzaga losing as a 3 seed in the Elite 8.
But they're a good program. I mean, if you really think about it, their biggest name ever to go to that school is John Stockton.
John Stockton went there, huh?
Yeah, John Stockton.
Who am I thinking of that was a bust? Robert Morrison, was it?
Oh, yeah. No, is his name Robert? No, I don't think it was Robert. But I know you're talking about the
Morrison, the guy with long hair.
Yeah, he was picked by the Lakers. He didn't do nothing. I think he was picked by Charlotte at first.
Okay.
He was picked by Michael Jordan, I think, at first, or something like that, or traded. I know what you're talking about. But yeah, he didn't do anything. But yeah, of course, college basketball is just, it's always exciting. March Madness, 12-5 matchups always end up killing everybody's bracket.
Pick at least 112. That's the cardinal rule.
So a number 2 seed always ends up getting chopped off.
Mm-hmm. In the second round.
In some way, shape, or form. The funniest thing ever is when you see people and they have their brackets, or maybe they make 3 or 4 brackets, and all of them are destroyed by week 2. Done, cooked, finished. It's a wrap.
Yeah, I've burned my fair share of brackets very early on, and I've been burned in the last rounds, the last final 4. Final 2 rounds trying to compete, whatever bracket, oh, look at this.
He's flying. They're flying. Because they got to rush. See, if you guys are watching on ESPN right now, they're talking about Duke's team managers that once the half stops, they take off straight to the locker room to go handle their jobs in the locker room.
Man,
before the players get there. Yeah, absolutely.
He was on the floor before the shot went up.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a tradition that they do. They hustle.
Yeah.
They really hustle. But who do you think, here's a question, who do you think out of those number 1s go the furthest?
Out of those number 1s?
The ones that we pick. Yeah, the number 1s. Not the confirmed number 1s, but the number 1s that we pick. You got Gonzaga, Dayton.
I really like Kansas.
Baylor and Kansas.
I really like Kansas. I don't know. I liked Kansas before the year started. I liked the fact that they were going in as that team that had a bunch of controversy with their coach and some recruiting issues and both. I like teams like that to have a chip on their shoulder, and it just sort of. Now that they have that one seed.
Even our sound guy, Marcus Mack, is watching the game. He doesn't know what's going on with Duke right now. he's over here making a bunch of faces like, yo, what is this?
Yeah,
like, this is Duke?
They're looking bad out there.
They're looking real bad right now.
We might have one of those games where Coach K lays on the ground with a back injury after this one. That's classic.
I think my number one out of those 4 number ones that we selected, I think Dayton.
Dayton?
I like Dayton.
That's a nice underdog.
I'm gonna ride Dayton. I'm gonna put everything on Dayton.
Tomorrow I'm gonna see what because they don't do it at night. I'll see what Dayton looks like for the championship odds, and we'll talk about that on Wednesday.
I can't wait. I can't wait till we get into this college basketball. And I'm gonna make sure that everybody on the show makes their own bracket. And we're gonna kind of like see. We'll put something together where we'll see like whoever gets the most wins or whoever's bracket is the best. Maybe we come up with some kind of idea so we could they can have bragging rights on the show.
And maybe what we'll do is to get y'all at home that are listening and watching more involved. Maybe if you make a bracket and you submit it, one bracket per person per listener, whoever wins or gets the highest percentage bracket. We'll get like a free T-shirt once we put out merch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe we'll do that, or we'll shout them out on the show.
That's totally 100% possible without question. Now, earlier today, this is a subject that we didn't even really get into, but you guys ended up coming a little bit later, and I was already here. Earlier today, I was watching the preseason MLB game, and our guy Anthony was on there. Anthony Rizzo, for you guys, he plays for the Chicago Cubs.
That's right, our boy.
They mic'd him up. They mic'd up him, and they mic'd up Chris Bryant.
They were playing the Astros, right?
No. They were playing the Angels.
Okay.
They were playing the Angels. They mic'd them up, and when they mic'd them up, the feeling of players being mic'd up during games is exactly what MLB needs to do. They need to expose this. It needs to be that way. Rizzo, he did a little jab at the Astros because he was like, it was a 2-2 count. He didn't know what was coming. He was like, can somebody please bang on a garbage can or something? Like, he was like, but this is all being heard live, And he's like, oh, I'm going to guess high fastball. High fastball came in. He hit it for a single. He's like, all right, I'm going to go run and go get to second base. And he's like, no, I can't. But you can hear all this as this is going on. And it was great. It was really great. Chris Bryant at third base was talking and letting everybody know, like, it was exactly what MLB needs to do.
Player involvement. And we've seen over time with just clips like that'll come out if you follow, any MLB, IG accounts or whatever. Some of these baseball players have the best personality in all of sports. You just don't know about them because they don't do enough of things like that.
Did you guys see Mike Trout hit a golf ball today?
Yes, I saw the video. He put it into the stratosphere. That thing left the Earth.
That thing is... It's in orbit. It's not. It's like it's being tracked. It's beyond satellite reach.
Yeah, they got the Sputnik tracking.
It's crazy how far he hit that ball. It was I want to know what did it said on the screen because I'm pretty sure it gets tracked. So if he hit it over the net.
Yeah, because it was at Topgolf, so I thought it would clear the net in the back.
If it does clear, what does it say? Out of range?
I believe so.
So he hit a golf ball out of range.
Probably hit a car on the freeway, but we'll see if we can post that on IG because you guys need to see that. It is on our Twitter?
It is on our Twitter.
Okay.
We didn't post it on IG, but it is on our Twitter.
That was absurd.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, he does the same thing with baseball. So
I mean, he was there for a really good cause. He was there for the Pujols Foundation, the Albert Pujols Foundation. They do a fundraiser, and they did it at Topgolf. Cody Bellinger was there. Justin Turner was there.
Okay.
Mike Trout was there. Albert Pujols obviously was there. So it was a really nice turnout to help. I think if I'm not mistaken, it's children with Down syndrome.
Okay, good cause. All the LA baseball stars showing out
in Arizona to have a good time. And you know what? That's what it's all about. Yeah. It's all about you helping me out, I help you out, so forth and so on.
Yeah, we had an idea also about what the show could potentially turn into with getting some kids more involved with baseball.
Yes, absolutely. We're in talks with 2 cities right now to try to figure out ways to where the EAC show can do a GoFundMe page or raise some funds, and we can cover the cost for kids that just want to go out there and play baseball without having to pay for the permit, the city permit, or the batting cages or whatever it may be.
Field time.
Yeah, field time. So we with the EAC show would raise the funds, and it would create a GoFundMe page to where that fund can be used to cover the expenses to have free access for at least one field at every park, and kids could just go on there. They can roll around in the dirt, play in the grass, throw a baseball, whatever, and it could just be free play, like nothing organized, nothing that people have to pay for or come out of pocket. It's just literally just the kids going on the baseball field and playing like the Sandlot back in the day, just enjoying themselves.
Yeah, so it's nice to see. I mean, we come in here and we talk about sports a few times a week, but if we could turn that into something good like that, man, I would love it. It's more power to us.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, guys, that's going to conclude episode 10. We appreciate all the love and support. Please subscribe, like, comment the EAC Show on all platforms. Download the podcast. It helps us out immensely. And we'll check you out, guys. Episode 11, Marcus Mack, I appreciate you.
Yep.
Doing double duties today. Good job, Cameron.
My guy.
We'll see you episode 11.
Oh, sugar honey iced tea. It's the EAC Show.